Welcome to VJ's Corner. You know, sometimes the things that stick with you, the really unsettling stuff, it doesn't come from some grand horror movie moment. Often it's something mundane, something familiar that just twists. Today, I wanted to talk about a memory from when I was a kid. It started out as just, typical sibling stuff, annoying pranks, but it ended up somewhere else entirely. Somewhere colder. Maybe some of you have similar memories, childhood homes, weird feelings, things you can't quite explain. Anyway, our house, the one I grew up in, it was pretty old. And it had this basement, the type, always seems kind of dim, even with the light on. And it had this smell. Cool, damp, musty, definitely musty. The stairs were wood, old wood. They groaned every single time you went down. Or up, that groaning sound. It became like the background music to my brother's favorite pastime, pranking me. He was almost always linked to the basement. It would start so simply, like, Mom would ask me to run down and get something. Can you grab a jar of pickles? Or, where's that wrench your brother left down there? Simple things, innocent requests. But that was his cue. My older brother's signal to get ready. The whole thing was so predictable looking back. But man, it worked every time. Scared me silly. I'd be halfway down the stairs, or maybe just reaching the bottom, feeling my way around the junk down there, old furniture under dusty sheets, cobwebs everywhere, and then bing! The door at the top would just slam shut, plunging everything into pitch blackness, like absolute dark sometimes. Sometimes he'd add this low growling sound, just a rumbling noise from somewhere in the shadows, totally designed to freak me out, and it did. My heart would just hammer. And then the grand finale. The jump scare. I knew it was coming. As I'd finally get back up the stairs, push the door open, blinking, he'd be right there. Bleep out. Gotcha. Classic. But after a while, you get used to things, even scary things. The fear started to mix with annoyance, I guess. And I started noticing something else, a detail. In the hallway, the narrow bit just before you get to the basement door, there was this one floorboard. It had this very specific creak, really distinct groan, different from the stair sounds. And I realized he always stepped on it right before a prank. Just before the door slammer, just before he got ready for the jump scare at the top.
Yeah.
It became my early warning system. Unintentionally, of course. So, hearing that creak, it was this weird mix. Part of me still tensed up, that knot of anxiety. But another part started to feel defiant. Like, okay, buddy, not today. Today I'm ready for you. Which brings me to this one afternoon. I remember it really clearly. It felt different. Mom called out, that same warm, unsuspecting voice. Sweetie, could you bring up the box of old photo albums? They're down in the basement. Old photos. Okay, no big deal.
I started down those groaning stairs in the air. Yeah, it definitely got colder as I went down. That musty smell hit me, familiar, and then I heard it crack. That single sharp, totally unmistakable sound of that specific floorboard in the hallway above me. He was there, right on schedule, waiting. But this time, something snapped. That usual wave of dread, it just wasn't there. Instead, I felt irritated, really annoyed. I just wasn't going to be the jumpy little kid this time. That creak wasn't scary anymore. It felt like he was cheating, Using my own warning system against me.
So instead of creeping down, finding the albums, and bracing myself for the inevitable scare on the way back up, I just stopped. A different idea popped into my head. Reckless, maybe. Definitely fueled by pure annoyance. He wouldn't get me this time. I would get him. The second that creak finished echoing, I just spun around. Right there on the stairs, and I bolted back up fast, faster than I probably ever ran up the stairs before. My hand shot out, grabbed the knob, and I yanked that basement door open hard. I was expecting to see him standing right there, mid-prank setup, smug look on his face. I was ready to finally yell, ah, back at him. But the hallway wasn't empty. But it wasn't him standing there, right in the dim light filtering from the living room. Someone else. Someone tall, really tall, and gaunt. Thin, his face. I couldn't really see it clearly. It was mostly in shadow, but I could feel him looking at me. It was this heavy feeling, cold, just staring. There was no smirk, no mask, no playful energy like my brother always had, even when trying to be scary. This was just stillness and silence. An absolute stranger in my house, right outside the basement door. My breath just caught my throat. I couldn't move. And then just caught another sound, a creak. But it wasn't the sharp crack from the top of the basement stairs, no. This was slower, more deliberate. A low groaning sound. It came from the floorboard right there in the hallway, near where the figure was standing, and that's when it hit me. That sound. The hallway floorboard creak. The warning sound. The one I always listened for. It wasn't signaling my brother waiting to prank me from the top of the basement stairs. It was signaling someone, or something, already standing in the hallway. I just stood there. Person on the top step, staring at this figure. Hearing that slow, impossible creak again, took a sharp breath in, reached for Everything just went silent. Utterly.
If this story left you with a sense of unease, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to VJ's Corner for more unsettling and thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the most horrifying things are found in the most unexpected places.